Welcome back to Honest Game Perspectives, the show where we play games, talk about what's good, talk about what's bad, and see if it's worth your money, or more importantly, worth your time. And today I am talking about whether I think it's a good idea or not that Rainbow Six Siege, now Rainbow Six Siege X, is free to play. That kind of gives the same thought as Twitter, actually. I just realized that as I'm doing this. Anyway, on with the video. After almost a decade, Ubisoft just made Rainbow Six Siege completely free to play. New players, new strategies, new problems. Let's talk about it right now on this video. First, I want to start with my history with Rainbow Six Siege. I played Rainbow Six Siege all the way back when it first released in 2015, which is really weird to me because I felt like I was much younger playing it than I was at that point. I guess I really wasn't doing much with my life in my later teens. Anyway, I've played it off and on for years, and I've really always enjoyed the game. My biggest problem is that you weren't able to bring over your accounts. So when I went from console to Xbox, I had hundreds, if not thousands, of hours in Rainbow Six Siege. I just didn't feel like grinding them all the way over again on PC. I felt like I would always be behind. However, now that it is free to play, that sort of makes it a little easier because you don't have to worry about paying for it so many different times. Siege X, Ubisoft's rebranding of Rainbow Six Siege, is basically the same core game but with tweaks. Faster onboarding, new UI, and a full free to play structure. But side note, what's actually really kind of funny is that because this game is under the registered trademark of Tom Clancy, when you go to look at the game, it'll always say Tom Clancy Siege X, which will make people think of Rainbow Six Siege. So I don't know. I find that to be kind of funny. The whole point of this is to breathe new life into a game that is still huge, but was kind of starting to slow down or show its age over the last few years. Free to play completely lowers and gets rid of the barrier of having to pay to try a game. There's a lot of times when you look at games, especially older games, and you're like, well, I don't want to pay 40, 50 bucks for a game that's been out for 10 years. All right, let's talk about the free to play model here. Because if you know me or if you've seen my videos in the past, I'm not the biggest fan of free to play models. I think it's a sleazy way to just say play now, pay later. And I think overall, I don't really support that way. I would rather pay money to play the game and then not have to be forced to make purchases later on. Games like Valorant, League of Legends, Apex Legends, CSGO, those games really kind of sit on the outskirts of free to play. However, there's a significant improvement in the gaming experience if you spend money. And especially with updates and things like that, they want you to consistently spend money. So I've never really been the biggest fan of that. However, for this game, I think it's actually a pretty smart idea. The game's already over a decade. There are tons of people who no doubtably want to play this game who now get rid of the barrier of having to spend 30, 40, 50 bucks for a game that's over a decade old. But with free to play, there are a bunch of downsides as well that aren't necessarily the developer's fault. So let's talk about toxicity, cheaters, smurfs, burnout, and everything else that really can make a game fail under the free to play model. As soon as a game becomes free to play, you get a wave of new players. Look at PUBG. That game went free to play not too long ago, and that really shot a resurgence into the game. This game is looking to capture that same thing. However, Siege is a tactical shooter. One random person who doesn't really know what they're doing can really ruin the whole experience for everyone else. Now, imagine that on a dozen games that you play. Imagine that all day when you try to queue up. You're going to get brand new players. You're going to get players who have no idea what they're doing. But even worse than that, in my opinion, you're going to get people who are more toxic because they don't care that they got to play this game for free. You're going to have people who have tried to cheat in this game, who have cheating software. You're going to get Smurfs, which I think is the biggest ruiner of games that become free to play. I'm looking at you, Riot. And you're going to have people who just get burnt out and don't really care about the experience overall. So, with all that being said, do I think Siege X going free to play is a good thing? Well, I think it can be. If Ubisoft supports it with better anti cheat, smoother tutorials, and a clear content roadmap, it might actually bring Siege back to life. Now, this game has actually slowly become popular over the last 2 or 3 years due to certain content creators who really focus around this content, making it more into the mainstream. And I think this will kind of give that extra push for people to play it. More players is always a double edged sword. If Siege X changes, but with Siege X becoming a free to play game now, it will no doubtably bring more players. But more players to video games is always a double edged sword. Siege X has a chance to evolve, but it also has a chance to collapse.